It's okay if you get sleepy. That's normally what happens. Remember one Thanksgiving? Oh, nice. This is great. Right around Thanksgiving, when our family had no money and no food, and someone came knocking on our door. A man was standing there with a huge box of food, a giant turkey, and even some pans to cook it in. I couldn't believe it. My dad demanded, "Who are you? Where are you from?" The stranger announced, "I'm here because a friend of yours knows you're in need and that you wouldn't accept direct help. So I brought this for you. Have a great Thanksgiving." My father said, "No, no, we can't accept this." The stranger replied, "You don't have a choice." Closed the door and left. Obviously, that experience had a profound impact on my life. I promised myself that someday I would do well enough financially so that I could do the same thing for other people. By the time I was 18, I had created my Thanksgiving ritual. I like to do things spontaneously, so I would go out shopping and buy enough food for one or two families. Then I would dress like a delivery boy, go to the poorest neighborhood, and just knock on a door. I always included a note that explained my Thanksgiving experience as a kid. The note concluded, "All that I ask in return is that you take good care of yourself. Take good enough care of yourself so that someday you can do the same thing for someone else." In English, we say paying it forward. Paying it forward. These three ideas represent everything in this story. Okay? Right? Pay it forward. Okay. I have received more from this annual ritual personally than I have from any amount of money I've ever earned. Several years ago, I was in New York City with my new wife during Thanksgiving. She was sad because we were not with our family. Normally, she would be home decorating the house for Christmas, but we were stuck here in a hotel room. I said, "Honey, look, why don't we decorate some lives today instead of some old trees?" When I told her what I always do on Thanksgiving, she got excited. I said, "Let's go someplace where we can really appreciate who we are, what we're capable of, and what we can really give. Let's go to Harlem." Harlem is sometimes a rough neighborhood in some areas at some times. She and several of my business partners who were with us weren't really enthusiastic about the idea. I urged them, "Come on, let's go to Harlem and feed some people in need. We won't be the people who are giving it, because that would be insulting. We'll just be the delivery people. We'll go buy enough food for 6 or 7 families and for 30 days. We've got enough. Let's just go do it." That's what Thanksgiving really is. Giving good things, not eating turkey. Come on, let's go do it. I talked to a few people about Thanksgiving this year. It is all about the turkey. I love it, but this point doesn't come up as much anymore. I guess I don't know. It depends. All right, because I had to do a radio interview first, I asked my partners to get us started by getting a van. When I returned from the interview, they said, "We just can't do it. There are no vans in all of New York. The rent-a-car places are all out of vans. They're just not available." Remember, in every good story, there's conflict. I said, "Look, the bottom line is that if you want something, we can make it happen. All we have to do is take action. There are plenty of vans here in New York City. We just don't have one. Let's go get one." I like this attitude. They insisted, "We've called everywhere. There aren't any." I said, look down the street, look down there. Do you see all of those vans?" They said, "Yeah, we see them." "Let's go get one," I said. First, I tried walking out in front of vans as they were driving down the street. I learned something about New York drivers that day. They don't stop, they speed up. This is not very wise. Then we tried waiting by the light. We'd go over and knock on the window, and the driver would roll it down, looking at us kind of leery. What do you want? What do you want? And I'd say, "Hi, since today is Thanksgiving, we'd like to know if you'd be willing to drive us to Harlem so we could feed some people." Every time The driver would look away quickly, furiously roll up the window, and pull away without saying anything. Eventually, we got better at asking. We'd knock on the window, they'd roll it down, and we'd say, "Today is Thanksgiving. We'd like to help some underprivileged people, and we're curious if you'd be willing to drive us to an underprivileged area that we have in mind here in New York City." That seemed slightly more effective, but it didn't work. Then we started offering people $100 to drive us. That got us even closer. But when we told them to take us to Harlem, they said no and drove away. We had talked to about 24 people, 24 people who all said no. 24 people. My partners were ready to give up on the project, but I said, it's the law of averages. Somebody is going to say yes. Very positive. Sure enough, the perfect van drove up. It was perfect because it was extra big and would accommodate all of us. Wow. This is connected to something you said before, where like everything happens for a good thing. Oh man, it's crazy. All right, okay. Weird. Okay, all right. Black, Mac. Okay, all right. We went, we went up, knocked on the window, and we asked the driver, could you take us to a disadvantaged area? We'll pay you $100. The driver said, you don't have to pay me. I'd be happy to take you. In fact, I'll take you to some of the most difficult spots in the whole city. Then he reached over his seat and grabbed his hat. As he put it on, I noticed that it said Salvation Army. The man's name was Captain John Rondon, and he was the head of the Salvation Army in the South Bronx. Salvation Army is kind of like Red Cross for everybody who just needs help, right? They're the kind of place where they set up an event at the church where they cook a lot of soup and then they feed everybody who wants to come. Right? That's their style. Right? It's good. We climbed into the van in absolute ecstasy. That means very happy. Very, very happy. He said, I'll take you places you've never even thought of going. But tell me something. Why do you people want to do this? I told him my story. And that I wanted to show gratitude for all that I had by giving something back. Captain Rondon took us to into parts of the South Bronx that make Harlem look like Beverly Hills. When we arrived, we went into a store where we bought a lot of food and some baskets. We packed enough for 7 families for 30 days. Then we went out to start feeding people. We went to buildings where there were half a dozen people living in one room. Squatters with no electricity, no heat, in the den of winter, surrounded by rats, cockroaches, and the smell of urine. That's pee-pee. It was both an astonishing realization that people live this way and a truly fulfilling experience to make even a small difference. You see, you can make anything happen if you commit to it and take action. Miracles like this happen every day, even in a city where there are no vans. That was by Anthony Robbins. I think Anthony Robbins here might be Tony Robbins, which is a super famous guy, right? But we have here, let me stop this, boom, boom.